Happy Friday, everyone. Just a quick update for Bitcoin. We're trying to bounce off from the prior resistance line of the massive inverse head and shoulders pattern. So we spoke about this pattern and we actually longed it on this channel after President Trump got into office. Bitcoin obviously shot up from 70 all the way to $109,000. When you look at the price action today, you've pretty much erased all the gains generated right over here. And if you're not dollar cost averaging already, then I think it's a phenomenal time to do that. We spoke about why on previous videos, so I won't jump into the reasoning behind it, but this test is certainly one massively bullish factor. And then the second one is that Bitcoin didn't actually close the CME gap, but we came very close to closing it. And it doesn't mean that, by the way, Bitcoin has to close the CME gap. There's just a high likelihood that it does that because we've already come this far down and because the ETFs play such an important role in Bitcoin's history. But you need to realize also that in 2021, we did have a CME gap all the way down at 24. But after Bitcoin saw a 50% crash, the CME gap didn't really close. So there is no rule that says you have to wait until the CME gap closure. So if you're waiting for that to happen to buy Bitcoin, then I think it's a wrong approach to take. And I think buying and dollar cost averaging at these prices is the right thing to do, especially when there is extreme fear, not only in the cryptocurrency market, but also in the S&P 500. Actually, it is the highest amount of fear that we've seen ever since August the 6th, which was during the Japanese yen carry trade when Bitcoin itself dropped around 30% in a matter of 3 days. So yeah, everything is just looking into, everything is pointing towards the direction that this is a buy. People are scared that we're no longer following the cycle, but that is actually untrue. If you go to the Bitcoin cycle comparison, CZ pointed this out perfectly. Obviously, we're not up here in the cycle because the ETFs caused Bitcoin to create a new all-time high in the fastest way in every single cycle compared to every other cycle. So the massive parabolic run that we saw after the ETF should have technically been counted into the price after the halving, but because we went to an all-time high for the first time before the halving actually happened, you don't see that parabolic run pre-ETF. Actually, I just realized that you can't really see this chart at all. But what I want to point out is that don't worry about the fact that Bitcoin is so under. I don't know how to do this. There we go. Don't worry about the fact that Bitcoin is so under in terms of, in relation to where the price was in previous cycles, because technically we're right around there. Actually, if you go to the Bitcoin cycle comparison and measure Bitcoin's performance from the bottom of the bear market to where it is today, that's going to give you a more accurate picture. And actually, every time at this point in the cycle, you do see some sort of correction. Back in 2018, you saw a similar correction there. In the Genesis cycle, it doesn't really matter. In 2018 to 2022, also, you got that dip from 32, 39 to all the way down to $32,000. So you do tend to see a dip at this point in the cycle. It's nothing unnatural. Bitcoin sees 30% dips constantly. It literally doesn't mean anything. But I do agree with one bearish sentiment here from Ki Young. I think he said it beautifully. The issue was we had a lot of distribution of Bitcoin between the range of 109 to 89,000. And because there was no new narrative and the Trump tariffs spooked a lot of investors and questioned, okay, whether if this bull market is going to continue or not, there wasn't really any new liquidity entering into the market. There was more distribution than new people coming in. We had those Bloomberg articles and all the Instagram pages talking about Bitcoin and your friends asking you about Bitcoin happened when we initially hit the all-time high, like we did in March as well. When Bitcoin went to 71, I also remember my friends asking about crypto. I remember, Bloomberg posting it, and it was also a hot topic, just like it was when we went to over 100K. The same sort of things happened, but that narrative wasn't strong enough to generate a significant amount of buying pressure to continue the bull market. And I think what we need is the strategic Bitcoin reserve actually coming to implementation, or one of the states to really buy Bitcoin for the first time, or a multiple amount of those states to add Bitcoin to their balances, which, by the way, Arizona is getting very close to doing. But, it's sad because we've erased almost all the gains that Trump has created when he became president. And that's also a good buying opportunity. Like, if you didn't buy when Trump was president, now you're buying Bitcoin for almost the same price, just with the clear certainty that the SEC is now bullish on crypto and they're actually doing incredible things in terms of deregulation. They dropped the Gemini investigation, Uniswap investigation, Robinhood. They acknowledged 4 different altcoin ETFs, provided clarity on meme coins, which I will play the video in a second. So they've done a lot of things compared to the previous administration. Congress is bullish on crypto. You're seeing the entire Trump cabinet, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek isn't there, Elon Musk, they're all Bitcoin bulls. So, you're just buying Bitcoin at almost the same price with the clear evidence that, government officials and fundamentally everything is going in the correct direction. Because fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with Bitcoin. This is just a risk on asset sell-off due to the Trump tariffs. And the sell-off is pretty big. Don't get me wrong. It's the largest singular monthly sell-off ever since June 2022, which was the bottom of the bear market. But just look at the previous few months, right? January, 8.92%. 11.12%, December 8.91%, November 28. I'm reading the wrong months. November 39.35%, October 9.62%, September 8.03%. Like, we've been going up so much. So Bitcoin dumping in the month of February is completely okay. And the strategic Bitcoin reserve should happen, in my opinion, somewhere around here. So this is just a minor setback. Everything should be completely fine. Ethereum, however, is now not only, closed the gap of what it created when Trump became president, in the sense that, okay, how much it's pumped and how much we're down now. It's 9% below where it was pre-election, which is unbelievable, showing how big of a discount that Ethereum is truly on. It's not over the prior all-time high. It's in fact down 9% compared to when it was on the day of the election. So that is some pretty bullish news. But apart from that, also Solana in the altcoins is up today 5.44% because the CME futures, they confirmed that there's going to be a Solana CME futures, which is pretty bullish. Bitcoin has it. It drives a lot of institutional demand, a lot of on-chain activity. What do you call it? The OI change, the open interest activity. So that's pretty bullish for Solana, and that's why we're pumping 5%. I think I'm going to buy Solana again. I did actually, but it wasn't anything massive. I got out of Solana with all the meme coins emerging as scams, and I thought that the meme coin narrative would die away, which it is. So now that whole FUD is over, I think accumulating some Solana would make a lot of sense. And then finally, the final news to cover is obviously this Meme Coin Act, and I want to play the beginning of it and then share my comments to you later on.
Mr. Speaker, let's make corruption criminal again. 3 days before his inauguration, President-elect Trump launched the Trump meme coin. Trump's partners and some investors based in China pumped up the price, making hundreds of millions of dollars with early selling while the price was high. As they sold, though, the price plummeted. They duped more than 800,000 Americans who collectively lost $2 billion.
So the Meme Act basically prohibits politicians and federal employees at the highest level to be launching meme coins, which I think is something so necessary. But the SEC just said that meme coins are not securities, which they're not. But I hope that doesn't encourage celebrities to continue rug pulling on their followers. And it just looks like there isn't enough regulation to charge these influencers and celebrities for doing this. So it's up to you, the community, to understand that meme coins will all tend to zero. And unfortunately, government intervention will not prevent you from, having access to potentially invest into these, not scams initially, but, most of the time they end up being scams because they go to zero and the investors pull out all the liquidity. And the final thing is that the FOMC meeting is in 19 days today. We had the PC index at 2.5%, which is a 10 basis point reduction from where the PCE was in the last month. And the PC index is the leading inflation indicator that the Fed uses to determine what to do with the interest rates. I think there's a lot of pressure for the Fed to be easing rates. So that is good news. And in 19 days' time, we're going to have one of the most important FOMC events in financial history. So if you want to watch that live, then make sure to subscribe to this channel and to the Moonshow channel. Destroy the like button. Guys and girls, I'm going to enjoy my Saturday off. Like nothing happens in crypto on Saturdays, so you can easily chill and do nothing and don't look at your phone and touch some grass because this week has been intense. But just continue buying the dip, continue educating yourself about Bitcoin. And as long as you dollar cost average, then I think there's nothing to worry about. Of course, if you don't sell also. Just try and hodl as much as possible, and everything should be fine in a matter of a few months. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And as always, guys, take care, and I'll see you all on the next video very soon.